Hey everyone, I know it's kind of late now, but I just wanted to talk about the movie Lightyear. Now, Lightyear is I think, Disney Pixar production, and is kind of basically the origin story to Buzz Lightyear. And it explains, this is not a spoiler, but in the beginning of the movie, basically it says like, this is the movie Andy watched back in 1995, got him to get the Buzz toy. And I think that's a great concept, because in Toy Story 2 we learned about Woody's past, with the sheriff roundout group or some shit, and that was great. I think giving more depth and backstory to the characters is important and is very nice for the story. However, this movie lacks quite a bit. Overall, I think it's a great movie. The visuals are amazing. I think, in my opinion, I think it's stunning. It looks amazing. Every shot is not disappointing, although there's some parts where it's kind of it's not a little bit of spoiler, but they're on this dark place. That was meh, because after all, there's not much to show, but the detailing on the rocks and stuff, the suit of the bad guy, and the robots, just the whole environment, and the people and everything, it's done very well. I think the lighting, the graphics, the rendering, it's all done very well. I think it's really pretty to look at. There was one shot where Buzz and this other character were standing somewhere, and then they look into the sky. That scene is super pretty. I really like that. I think it looked amazing. So visually, it is stunning. It is really well done. It is great. The biggest complaint I'd have for this movie, though, it is the story. For sure. I think this story was super meh. And I think it's just the execution that kind of went to shit, because the idea of having the idea of having a Buzz origin story is great. I think that is absolutely amazing. Never asked for one, but now that I've seen it, I think when I first found out about it, I was like, wait, this is a great idea. However, the execution for me was done pretty poorly. I feel like the story wasn't great. There were a lot of things that seemed super convenient. There's a scene where this character was falling through space, and she needed to get something, and it just so happens that she was able to make it in time somehow, just because there were just enough poles for her to hold on to. So definitely there were some parts that felt super convenient. There's another character who has in his suit, he has a pen, and he uses it to do something later on. They've established the pen in the first 20 minutes of the film, and they kept repeating that. It was they kept what that character appears with his that thing. It's kind of oh look, I have this thing, I have it here, I have a pen, and it just so happens to work for them later on, and it's just kind of okay. But of course it's a kids movie. It's targeted towards kids, but that's where I have my second problem with the movie, is that it feels like the movie is super confused of their target audience. And now hear me out. I know this sounds strange, but hear me out. Buzz Lightyear is a child's toy. Now obviously, you'd think, hey, it's a movie made for kids. But I don't know, it doesn't feel like it. There are definitely times when I stopped and I'd be like, this resonates with me very well. And then I went to see this with my little sister. She's really young, so we'd watch it, and afterwards I'd ask her if she understands it, and she doesn't seem to really understand what the themes were on about. The messages were quite simple. It was just, the generic, hey, don't give up, if we work together, we'll win type of shit. But I feel like there were many things in the story that didn't really work for children. I don't really think it's something that they talk about a lot or think about a lot. So I don't know. And at the same time, for them to make a Buzz Lightyear movie, of course, Buzz has been popular over the years, I believe. But I feel like in a way it was targeted towards more people maybe my age-ish, so like teenagers or young adults. And the reason is, I definitely think for them to want to make a side story about Buzz and bring this character back after Toy Story 4 and talk about an origin story, it's just kind of to reach out to like people like me, where it's like, oh, I grew up seeing Toy Story and I love those characters. I was like, it came out before I was born, but I watched it when I was really young, so I don't know, but maybe you have like a 5-year-old me or some shit watching Toy Story. You fall in love with the characters, they're amazing, they're cool. So this really kind of just felt like a, hey, look, we're bringing our character back and we're giving him an origin story. You want to hit, you want to be hit with some nostalgia? If you do, hey, come on and go see it. Definitely feels like the main idea was that, but it just felt like it was very lost. The plot was super convenient. Everything just kind of worked and then didn't work and then worked again just to prove a point. Which I think, maybe for kids it was done very well, but from my perspective, it was just kind of boring to watch the stuff unfold because it's super predictable and shit. But yeah, so in terms of that, it was so-so. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. You have to remember that it is a kids movie. The next thing I want to talk about is the cast. I think the cast is pretty nice. They just play the role very well, and to be honest, I think Chris Evans, well, I can't name a better choice here, but I personally think that Chris Evans did Buzz justice. You can disagree with me or whatever, but I think Chris Evans did a really good Buzz Lightyear. And there were definitely times when Chris Evans is dubbing Buzz and he'd be like, wait, that's the same Buzz. It feels like I'm watching the same exact Buzz from all those years ago. Even though it wasn't Tim Allen, I think at times I would just sit there and be like, I hear the Buzz I knew from all those years ago. So I think the cast was definitely great. The characters were quite unique. There's some things that I don't like about the characters and the way they're presented. And it's not about what you think it is. It's just kind of more of, I don't know, just the things they do are kind of extreme and very comedic. Which of course, like I said, it like appeals to children, but then there's a side to it where it's just kind of like the themes, I don't really think the children would really understand fully. But yeah, I think overall it was a pretty decent movie. I don't know how well it did on the box office, but I just wanted to talk about it because I saw it today, and I know I'm like 13 days late now to see the movie, but I just want to talk about it because I loved Toy Story. Growing up, it was actually one of my favorite franchises of all time, and Toy Story 4 was amazing. That shit was so good, and it almost got me tearing up at the end. So yeah, I just want to talk about it, and that's about it. See ya.